बोल आपको इंट्रोडक्शन दे दो हेलो participants मैं काम
hello participants, we are now going to start the webinar. Today's webinar Hello participants. Today the webinar would be taken by Mr. Biplab Saha. Hello sir, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, thanks. You had put me on mute. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
I can hear you.
Okay.
I just want to check if we have people who have joined, all the attendees they've joined.
Yes, sir. There are around 20 to 30 attendees who are attending this webinar. So, for all the attendees, just for your information, today's webinar is how to set up BPO business. And this webinar would be given by Mr. Biplab Saha. He is the co-founder and CEO of eGramServe. And Mr. Biplab has over 17 years of professional experience in the IT services and BPO industry, and he has been actively involved in the rural BPO space since March 2009, and then he became a part of the Source for Change, which is a CSR initiative of the Piramal Group. So basically about what eGramServe BPO is all about, basically what eGram is all about, it is setting up BPO centers in hilly and remote regions of India, and the sole objective is to provide meaningful employment to educated youth of those regions. And it started with the state of Uttarakhand. So Mr. Biplab Saha, basically this webinar is being conducted by Nurture Talent Academy, which is India's first entrepreneurship institute. And now I would like to tell you about this Nurture Talent Academy, which is India's first institute for training entrepreneurs, which was started in July 2010, in January 2010, with the objective of training and mentoring startups and training students and professionals. And we have already conducted around 187 workshops across 66 cities, which is attended by approximately 10,264 participants. So now I would like to request Mr. Biplab to take this thing forward, to take the webinar and to train our students. Hello.
Okay, yeah. Welcome everybody, and thank you Ayushi for introducing me. I don't know if you did the poll. Before starting the webinar, I would kind of like to have a sense of how many people are from the BPO industry and how many people have what's the split between domestic BPO and offshore BPO in the terms of attendees that we have.
Yeah. Sir, also I had posted 4 polls, so all the participants who are attending can vote through these polls, and also after, when the half the webinar would be done, we would be having a 10 to 15 minutes break wherein we would be taking the questions of the participants.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, so good afternoon everyone. Yeah, my name is Biplab. I have co-founded an organization, a venture called eGramServe Rural BPO Services, and we are currently headquartered in District Eri Garhwal of Uttarakhand, and my contact details are given in the slides that you can see. I'd like to can we go on to the next slide, please? Just one second. I'd like to go to the next slide. Ayushi, can I request you to go to the next slide, please?
Sir, you have to change the slide from your end because your screen is visible to all the participants. So you have to change the slide.
For some reason, I'm not able to. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Okay. Here are the contents of the presentation. Just 1 second. Can you just hold? I think this is I'm just getting a call for 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry, sorry folks, that was an urgent call. So coming back to the contents, this is how we're going to structure the presentation. We're going to look at the opportunity for BPO in the BPO services and more specifically the opportunity for rural BPO. Then we're going to discuss a working model of a rural BPO venture, which will include the essentials of how it should be structured and what all does it take to start up a rural BPO venture. We're going to discuss revenue streams available to ventures that are in this space, and then discuss how to market your services. And then there's a short, there are 2 slides on what eGram serve is about and our team profile. And then we have the current players in this space, so which will give you a sense of where the how large the market is and who all are the leading players. And as Ayushi said, in between we can take the questions probably after we finish the revenue streams, before we start the service, how to market your service. We can take questions on any any participant that wants to ask questions. All right, so oops, again I'm trying to do this, move this slide again, and okay. So I guess everybody knows that the BPO industry is a hugely growing industry in India, and it's been around for about close to about 20 years now, but the major exponential demand started, the exponential growth of this industry started about 15 years, 12 to 15 years back. And India is now one of the leading, it is the leading outsourcing destination amongst the, and most favored outsourcing destination in the world. Plus, we are seeing that there is a continuing expansion of global demand, and it is currently estimated at $190 billion and growing. And more so that the domestic demand for BPO services, which is demand for call center, back office, and data processing services from domestic industries, is also growing very rapidly. It's currently pegged at $6 billion and is expected to grow at a healthy growth rate of 18% per annum for the next 5 to 6 years. So domestic BPO is an it's an exciting area to be in, and BPO industry as such is is still in its kind of growth phase. Although we'll discuss the challenges in the next slide. There are certain challenges that are being faced by the players in the BPO business, which brings us to why there is an opportunity for setting up a rural BPO and succeeding. So what has happened is, although India is a favored destination, and Delhi and Gurgaon, Noida, Hyderabad, Bangalore, these are hotspots of BPO, of the BPO trade. But what is happening is that running a BPO business in these cities is becoming very unviable, specifically for smaller startups or smaller players that don't have a captive client in the US or don't have a captive client in the domestic industry and are just starting up. One of the major reasons is the escalating costs of running operations in large cities. We all know how prices are going up. The rentals are shooting through the roof in most of the major metros and even tier 2 cities like Jaipur, Pune. Real estate prices are just escalating and shooting through the roof. Secondly, and more importantly, is the shortage of trained manpower in these centers. What is happening is a lot of people are migrating into cities, the ones that I mentioned earlier, and they're coming in, getting trained. Most likely they don't get absorbed by a larger BPO or a larger company, but they will go with a smaller company, and the moment they get trained, they look for better opportunities. So there is a shortage. One, there is shortage. Second, there is a high churn, and not just and there is competition for resources, not just from the existing businesses, but also from other sectors that are now growing. Organized retail is growing in a big way in the cities. Hospitality has grown pretty well, and then the healthcare segment is growing, where you need not just doctors and healthcare professionals, but you also need support staff in housekeeping, in front office, in record management. So most of the people that are being trained or were earlier captive employees for BPOs are now getting opportunities elsewhere. However, on the other hand, we have a huge untapped potential for rural in the rural areas or semi-urban areas, if we can call them, because there is a huge pool of educated rural youth in those areas that are currently not having any formal employment avenues. And these people, if they're given a little bit of training, they will be an ideal workforce for any kind of computer-based or back office kind of work, and they will also readily work because an office-based job is considered to be a very a very what do you call aspirational job. Anybody who's educated, done an inter, and is now doing his college would want, getting into an office-based job is a dream job. The only opportunity for an office-based job in these small areas is the government, and government sector jobs are now very, very limited. So we come to why rural BPO. The advantage of a rural BPO is we can harness the unemployed educated youth in the rural areas. And we are targeting the educated rural youth population. We may not look at people who are not who haven't gone to school at all, but these are people who are 12th pass and are pursuing graduation, or even have done graduation but don't have any occupation. So for want of anything else, they are pursuing post-graduation, and typically they will not want to get into the dirty jobs like agriculture or other kind of activities which probably their families are already engaged in, because now he's a graduate and he wants an office job. And the other way we can benefit is, one is we get the pool of people. Second is that we can get substantial savings in operational costs because of the lower, not just the lower rentals, but every associated cost is lower. The housekeeping is lower, support staff comes at a lower cost. Transport is negligible because people live so close by, so there's no transport cost. Of course, some of the things remain same, like bandwidth and electricity and all those costs are same whether you take them in Bangalore or Delhi or you take them in a rural area. But the other costs are definitely lower. And then the advantage is that there's high employee stickiness, because you're giving him or her a job near his or her house. All he has to do is get out from home, walk down, or take a short jeep ride or a bus ride and walk it to office. So there is no need for that young boy or girl to actually look out for a space for a house for rent or a PG accommodation, look out for how I'm going to cook. Everything is being taken care of. All they have to do is get up and come to the work and then go back and get home cooked food a lot of them also carry their tiffins along. So, there's no need for them to spend on eating outside. So that is why there is a high employee stickiness. Once they come in, it becomes like a government job to them. Like they wouldn't want to leave. And also because of them living near their homes and there are no associated costs like rents and other transport and all that they have to bear, they are willing to work at substantial lower salaries because that is the only other if they in smaller areas you may be the only employer in that area, so either they work for you or they don't work at all or they don't have any work. So this slide talks about a working model for a rural BPO venture. Typically, you should take the location. Since IT-based work is location agnostic, you should choose a low growth area where there are no competing occupations. If you go to an area which has a lot of trading or has a lot of agriculture, people are earning well from agriculture or trading or other similar activities in semi-urban areas, then most likely you will be compared with incomes that are that are being generated out of those activities, and then people might not find you as attractive. So choose a low growth area in typically a state that you are comfortable with. So if you are either if you're settled in a state, if you're say in Bangalore, then you would probably want to choose rural Karnataka. If you're in Delhi or Gurgaon, you would probably look at Haryana, Rajasthan, states that are nearby, where you have sufficient connects and you have a comfort level and you have the command over the language. Now once you've identified a state, then you identify tehsil level towns with inter colleges. So inter colleges will guarantee you that you're going to get a population that is 18 years old and 12th pass. They've done their basic history, civics, geography, math, or whatever that is, and they have a basic level of the understanding that can be now built on. The other thing is you cannot open a 500, 600 seat kind of a center in these semi-urban areas because you're not going to get so many people from that area. So what you should aim to, what you should target to do is once you've identified the geography that you want to be in, then you should look at 4 or 5 locations within that geography where you can open about 50 to 60 seat center, which means if you run 2 shifts, you can employ about 100 people, 100 to 120 odd people at that center. And typically you should look at the captives, the employee population that you should look at is are people that are within 10 to 15 to at max 20, depending on if you're in the hills or slightly remoter areas, then 10 to 15 kilometers is a long distance. If you're in a slightly better off area where the road connectivity is good, then probably even 30 kilometers off is not a large distance because there are fast moving public transport. So you should look at places where people can comfortably get to the office from their homes within at the max 1 hour. Anything over 1 hour is it is too long a travel time for people in that in the semi-urban areas. Also, you should, when you're starting up, you should look at, these people are very open to output-based pays because, that's how they've seen the world working around them. If they sell their agricultural produce, they're paid according to the output. If they do trading, they're paid according to whatever they, so they're more entrepreneurial minded than people in the cities. So they are very open to if you make an output based payout, they're open to that as long as you make sure that you're compliant with the minimum wages of the area or the state. You can do an output based payout which will make sure that you don't bleed in the initial 5 or 6 months till the time you get stable projects. And on the business side, what you should do is engage with larger BPOs and work as a vendor to them. This is a low-hanging fruit kind of an opportunity. The margins will be lower, but the risks are much lower. And there is a steady flow of work if you are able to satisfy the larger BPO in terms of your cost, in terms of your ability to deliver, and they will continue to feed you with work. So what happens is you don't need to focus on running around all over the place in trying to get business and going to end clients. You go to one or two large BPOs, they will be enough. They'll have enough work if you have the ability to deliver, and they'll fill you with work. Also, you should start with low-end data entry type of projects, where the probability of failure is low, and the requirement for training is also low. So as long as they know English, they know typing on computers, you are most likely to succeed. Of course, when we go to the next slide, we'll see what are the critical success factors. But ideally, you should start with lower end data entry projects. And as your people build a comfort in that particular project, for example, if you're doing health claim, insurance claim processing, then you start with very low end data entry, and as they kind of understand the context of insurance claim, then you can move on a little higher and take on slightly higher value added work. I'll just come to this, but I'll just go to this last slide first, the slide after this first, which is the critical success factors of success in a BPO business, whether it is rural or urban or whatever, any service delivery based business. What you have to ensure is you have to be able to deliver the same level of quality that your client, whether it is a direct client or a larger BPO, you have to be able to deliver the same level of quality. They will not compromise on the quality, and you cannot say that we are new, we are in a rural area. You have to make sure that the quality is the same. And of course, you have to give an extremely competitive price, which will make them want to outsource to rural areas, because people in their mind think of associated risks with outsourcing to a rural or a remote area, and unless there is enough enough meat in the game, they will not want to take the pain of doing it. And then you have to make sure that you are able to deliver within the TAT. TAT is turnaround time for people who would not know the so TAT is a very critical word in this industry. If you're, besides the quality, you have to be able to turn around whatever work has been given to you and finish it within whatever time has been told. So if that means running a night shift, if that means getting extra people for those 2 or 3 days, or that means, whatever that means, you will have to do it to get the confidence of your clients. And of course, you have to make sure that, the risk of failure is very low. When I say failure means, you have to make sure that your generator is working. If the light goes off, there's no stoppage of work. You have 1 or 2 redundant internet connections, so that if one goes down, your work doesn't suffer. And the like, your phones work, your people come to work. If there is, for some reason, sometimes there is excessive rain, sometimes there is, something else, the roads are blocked, or, you have to make sure that whatever you do, whatever work you've taken and whatever commitment you've given, you have to be able to deliver. So if the roads are blocked, or if there is a strike or something, if that means running your own transport for 2 or 3 days for a week to deliver that project, you have to do that, even if that means that you go negative on the project. And of course, you have to ensure complete data security. You have to make sure that no data ever goes out. The emails are strictly monitored. People know the importance of complying with data security norms, because the clients are very sensitive. Any data business clients are very sensitive with this. And also, you have to demonstrate that you have the ability to scale up on demand. So in case a client says that, okay, for the next 15 days, I'm going to have work worth 20 people, and you currently have only 10 people employed, you should be able to say that, okay, give me 1 week, I will hire and train 15, I'll hire and train 10 additional temp staff to take care of your additional work volume. So you have to be able to handle the peaks and peak of workflows. And these are the things that are going to demonstrate the ability to deliver to your client. And okay, so revenue streams. The possible revenue streams, firstly, we should look at data processing business. There's a huge business in the telecom CAF processing. There's a huge volume of CAFs which come in every day. And you could tie up either directly with the operator or with their service partners to do the data entry for CAF processing. And there is a market research segment industry which keeps on doing surveys, and most of these surveys are hand filled, so those have to be fed in the computer. And these are also large volume surveys and with short turnaround times, so you have to ensure that you're able to fill in the results, punch in the results, and turn it around to the market research company for analysis. And there is the banking and insurance segment. Banking is a little sensitive about outsourcing. They mostly do stuff in-house, but they're opening up. One of these sectors that is opening up in banking is the rural banking, because the government is putting a real thrust on rural banking. So there are a lot of partners of large banks that are going out and recruiting, enrolling people, and you could talk to those partners. They're typically called business correspondents. You could talk to them and try and get their, instead of them doing the form processing, you say that, okay, we'll do the form processing. You just go and enroll people in the accounts and we'll do the processing for you. Similarly for insurance, it's a huge business, and insurance is not just, domestic industry may not be that very large, but there's a huge business in insurance from the US that is coming to offshore players. And you could talk to, you could tie up with a large offshore BPO that is in the health claim space, the Medicare, the health claim, or the insurance processing space, and do a lot of this form filling. And then there's a publishing business. There's a lot of content conversion. There's a move towards going digital. So all the large publishers are transforming their content into EPUB, e-ready formats. And there is a huge volume of work which is available there to do. Again, it is mostly low-end data coding work and can be easily done from by low skills or lower skill sets of people. Then the other revenue stream you can target is the telesales and customer services. And I would suggest staying off the English-based customer service or customer help desk, but focusing on regional language-based customer support. And you can get business from agri-focused companies which sell to consumers in the rural areas. ITC, Bharti, Walmart. Either they sell or they procure from rural areas. And you can also talk to microfinance companies and banks, as I said earlier, banks with financial inclusion that are heavily into rural banking. You could talk to customers for customer support function. And then there are a lot of NGO and government sponsored programs running in districts and state levels, and they require very they are the ones that require local dialect, people that can speak the local dialect. So if you're in a particular geography or a district, you could talk to, you could look at what are the programs there and who's running the help desk for those programs, and if you could run the help desk for those programs. There's another opportunity in becoming a temp staff provider. There are a lot of companies that want people on a 2-month assignment or a 3-month assignment for some rural marketing campaigns that they will run, or some enrollment campaigns. Like there is this UID enrollment, or there are some programs which do outreach to, in the NGO space, they do outreach activities. So they all need IT literate staff, and you could be a temp staff provider also, since you have people who are trained in IT, and if, there are companies that are looking at people within the geography that you are present, you could also be a temp staff provider. And this fourth thing, which is training and placement, you could, as a revenue stream, you could look at it, you could look at people who want to come and attend your training program, and then, if they are willing enough and if they are smart enough, you can actually get them placed in better companies, in larger companies in the cities. So for example, if you're in Rajasthan, you can, and you're running a rural BPO in Rajasthan, you can place people in Jaipur in the health, in the hospitality and the retail space that is coming there, and earn a placement fee out of that, and also charge the people that you've trained some certain basic minimum fee to get them ready for the jobs. So these are some of the revenue streams, but of course the data processing is the most attractive and scalable. I wouldn't say attractive, it's a very low margin business, but it is highly scalable, and there are a lot of, there's a huge business there. If you do it right, then you can, actually make a 500, 600 seater business in less than 4 or 5 months. This is the investment required for a typical 50 seat center. Initial investment required is about 50 lakhs, out of which the capital expense is around 30 lakhs. Capex will go into, doing your networking, doing your electrical cabling, doing the servers, switches and all that stuff, and putting up cameras, video cameras, DVRs. And then you also need an initial working capital, because once you've rented out a space, once you've done it up, you'll have certain minimum expense that will start coming to you every month. And even if you don't do any business. So, typically it takes about 6 to 7 months to, even if you had started talking, for a pilot to actually get into a live mode will take about 6 to 7 months. So you should have that initial working capital to take you through that. And a typical 50 seat kind of center would, consume about anything between 50 to 60,000 to about a lakh of rupees per month, even if you weren't doing anything, The numbers in terms of annual revenue expected from a 50 seat center can range anything from 50 to 70 lakhs. Operating expense, as I said, can range from 30 to 40 lakhs. And in a year, your cash flow would be between 20 to 40 lakhs. This is assuming that you're doing low-end work with per seat revenue realization of about 12 to 13,000 per seat per month. So that, typically you should expect the center to break even in 2 years. 2 to 2.5 to 3 years is what you should take. So, these are some numbers here on the investment requirement. And what we would recommend is you should try and minimize capex wherever possible. You should rent the premises instead of buying land, even though the land may be very cheap, but don't be tempted to buy the land. Then you should rent the PCs, you should rent the generators and all. So as turn whatever capex models are there into whatever capex requirements into OPEX, so that your initial outlay is much lower. And also, as I said, besides the operator staff, also the other support staff you should try and keep as low as possible. If you should probably try and keep a part-time accountant, look at a part-time trainer that can work every second month to train batches. Look at IT support in an outsourced manner. Look at somebody who can, provide you support on an on-call basis. So these are some things which are going to keep your operating costs low and also your capex low till the time you start hitting the numbers. So we might want to take a break here, Ayushi, and because we're somewhere in the middle of the presentation, and open the floor for questions.
Yes, sir. There are many people who have already told me their questions. So one by one, I would be taking the questions so that you can give answers to those questions. So
sure.
yeah. So Gurjot Bhalla has asked that what is the attrition rate in BPO industry as of now?
Also, I had sent you some.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Gurjot Bhalla has asked that what is the attrition rate in the BPO industry as of now?
Attrition rate in a regular BPO is anywhere close to 15 to 20%. So if you're talking about cities like Hyderabad, Chennai, or cities like Jaipur, which are tier 2 cities after the Delhi, after the Gurgaon, Bangalore, these cities. And in a regular this thing, it's about 15 to 20%, depending on where you are. If you're a good company, then you probably have lesser attrition. If you're a smaller company with lesser frills, then your attrition is going to be higher. But in a rural setup, the attrition is as low as 2 to 3%, 2 to 4%, because people don't have, in that area they will not have any jobs, any alternate source of employment. So once trained and once they are making even typically I would say 4 to 5,000 a month, if they are making, they're happy, they're very, very happy. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Another question has been asked by Ayush, that there are cases of people setting up BPO units in foreign locations and using Indian labor to meet market needs there through inbound and outbound calls. So he wants to ask that what's your take on this?
So my take is like, we have an untapped opportunity in the rural areas. I know the large players are doing this. They are going to places like Africa or Philippines or other places and, putting up centers there. And a lot of people from India are also being taken to, go and staff those centers. But then why do all this when we have, a huge potential here in the semi-urban areas? So that's my take on this trend.
And Sir Gaurav wants to ask that how to approach market research companies for this.
So I mean, we're going to get to the slide which says how to market your services, and we'll talk more about it. But you'll have to do your initial pre-sales activity, which is to look at what are the players and who are the players in market research, or who are the players in publishing, who are the people that are managing that, so we'll get to that when we get into that slide, and I'll dwell more upon this.
Hello?
Next question?
Yeah. Anush Reddy wants to ask that what does BPO business includes? But what are the things the BPO business generally includes?
So BPO in business would include anything which is which can be done outside of the client's office. Which means that if I'm a bank and I can do a certain activity without sitting in the bank or the branch of the bank, that activity can come under a BPO business. Typically, it would mean doing, maybe new account form data entry can be done. So an account can only be opened in the bank. So a physical account opening is something which cannot be classified in the BPO activity, where the customer comes in, sits in front of the branch of the bank staff and signs the form, fills the form and signs it. But then data entry of that filled up form into the banking database, that is something which can be termed as a BPO activity. Similarly, handling queries for customers. For example, even for a bank, we can, you don't need to be sitting in a bank branch to answer queries related to what is my account balance and, is this check number, has this been presented or not. You can do it from any center as long as you have access to the data of the customer and the banking information. However, certain instructions like stopping a check or, probably doing a telephonic transfer, which requires somebody from the bank or an underwriter or something to do the processing and do the approval, that activity is again a core banking activity and it cannot fall under a BPO activity. So, I hope that, that there is a line between what can be done within the client, within the organization, and what can be done outside. So anything that can be done outside, whether it is data related or call related, can be termed as BPO. Anything which requires a face-to-face interaction will typically not fall under a BPO activity. Next
Thank you,
question.
sir. Yeah, Ayush wants to ask that how is the competition in the rural BPO space?
So we'll again go on the I have a slide which talks about players in the rural BPO space, but it is still a very nascent space, and the country is very large. India has so many states, and in every state there are so many districts. So we have a 61%, more than 60% of our working age population, which means youth, I mean people between 18 to, I'm not sure over the upper limit, but I think 18 to 35. More than 60% are in still the rural and semi-urban areas, and so there is no competition for resources, I can say. And in terms of business, there is competition for business. You're competing with the same clients that a urban BPO will be competing. So that is dependent on your ability to deliver. But as far as the supply side is concerned, there is no, it's a large market there on the supply side. Next question.
Okay. Yeah. Uttam Kumar Das wants to ask that in rural areas, high-speed connectivity is a prime issue. So how can one address that?
So, if you look at the slide on the business, on the working model, I have said don't go, you don't need to go into the real deep rural area. You can go into a tehsil town. And typically now tehsil towns are block level towns. So they have, most of them have got good bandwidth, both from the BSNL and the private telecom operators. And the funny part is that, you will be treated here in a large city. If you want a 2 Mbps connection, you are just like one of the lakhs of people wanting a 2 Mbps connection. But there, if you want a 2 Mbps lease line, you will be treated like a king. Even in the BSNL exchange, they will actually, even the head of the exchange will know you by name. He will give you his phone number. In case there is problem, sir, please call me. We will make sure your line is up. Because everybody, even state-owned companies know that they have to generate revenues. So if in smaller places the exchange is generating revenue, then the guy, the SDO and the DET, they have saved their jobs. Otherwise, state-owned companies like BSNL are also very sensitive now. If an exchange is not generating enough revenue, they will stop that exchange or shut it down. So there is enough fiber there. There is enough bandwidth. Plus there are local, now because of telecom spread, there are private telecom operators also that are willing to give you last mile connectivity on a radio frequency, and even give you fiber from their nearest. So you see there is these telecom towers which are called BTS in telecom language. So if you locate yourself in a town level kind of a town, tehsil level town, there will be a lot of companies that have set their BTSs in that town. And you would typically not be more than 2 or 3 kilometers, at max 2 or 3 kilometers away from the nearest BTS. So even if they have to draw a copper line or a fiber line, they will happily do it because you're giving them revenue in that area. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. And there is a question which is asked by Yogesh that he is planning to open a technical support company by next month for US customers. And he has given that like Yogi Tech Services and some other competitors. So everything is almost done, but the biggest problem which he is facing is getting a payment gateway. So he is asking that what if we get chargebacks or checkout blocks, or some people say that he should get a US merchant account for that. So he wants your guidance on this.
So that, this merchant account, this thing is out of the scope of this discussion, and also I'm no expert on the merchant accounting, but typically any business, even if you open a tech support out of Delhi, or even if you're in New York, or even if you're in the US, there will be a problem of chargeback of customers. So, you have to make sure that you've got ironclad agreements with customers, your merchant, you do your due diligence on the merchant or the gateway service provider, see what are their terms and conditions. Because typically US consumers have, US credit card consumers have a very, they can charge back and your merchant will take the money out of your account. So it's a pretty risky business unless you really know, that your agreements are fail safe and your customers, even if they charge back, you will win the chargeback, you will win the, in the dispute resolution, you will win the dispute in your favor. So, you have to figure that out. It doesn't matter where you're operating out of. I would say if you're trying to do a tech support for US customers, and if it is even if it is a text-based tech support and not a voice-based tech support, it would still be challenging to do it out of a smaller area than if you were to do it out of, say, Bangalore or Delhi or Gurgaon or Mumbai or wherever. Because US customers are pretty, you have to be able to speak their language for even text-based tech support. So I think in smaller areas what we've seen is because, the exposure to the English language is lower, even if the people can read and write English, their comprehension in terms of, writing emails or writing chats and all, they will not be able to do that very well. So you should probably do it in a larger place and then probably shift it out. Do a pilot in a larger city where you can get the people to do this, and then shift it out to a rural area once you've mastered your processes.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you that is your presentation still remaining, or shall I continue with the questions? If your presentation is still remaining, then you stop the questions for the moment.
Yes, so I think we have a couple of slides there, so which will answer some of the questions, and then you can,
Yes.
once we are wrapping up, we can take the questions. Also, if you can also circulate the results of the poll, so that we have a sense of the kind of audience that we have. Do you have the results with you?
Hello.
Yeah, so do you have the results of the poll?
No, sir, no, sir. The students, the participants are answering the poll and all, so we do not have the results yet.
Okay. All right. The poll would just help me understand what is the makeup of the audience. So if there are more people not from the BPO industry, then I can speak non-BPO language, and if there are people from the BPO industry, we could more go into the technical stuff. So I would urge everybody to complete the poll, and then as soon as Ayushi has the results, she can circulate the results.
Yeah, they are polling. I would also request everyone to kindly poll your answers so that it would be easier for Mr. Biplab also to carry this webinar forward.
Okay, so in the meanwhile, let me go on to the next slide then.
85% have told that they have not worked in a BPO. They do not have a work experience in a BPO. 79% rather.
Okay.
Yeah.
79% don't have any work experience in the BPO. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And what about the overall work experience? How many have more than 5 years of work experience in any sector?
They are polling, sir.
Okay. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to start the rest of the presentation. And one of the challenges, we're going to take the challenges that are there for setting up a rural BPO business versus a regular BPO. Is longer lead time for project implementation, because these are smaller areas. There is a lack of business ecosystem. You won't find tech support providers. You won't find computer vendors. You won't find hardware vendors in the town that you're operating in. Or if they are there, they are not of that level. So you might have to source them from a nearby larger town. So, typically it delays the kind of, so if you were to set up something here in say 2 weeks, it would probably take about 5 to 6 weeks to do it there. And it's also difficult to find suppliers who are willing to service you in the remote location. So you might be able to get somebody who's going to supply, but then you're going to get challenges for him to come and service you if your computer breaks down. So make sure your agreements, you go with a reliable vendor even if the pricing is slightly higher, so that you can get tech support and other kind of support. Try to also deal with the sales branches or the sales area sales managers of the principal company. So if you're hiring a UPS, try to talk to the sales manager of the UPS company, the area sales manager. He will be more than willing to extend the help to you, because again, as I said, in smaller areas, the sales manager, for example, we bought 10 kVA UPSs in our BPO center near Rishikesh, and there was hardly any sales of 10 kVA UPSs. So the sales manager was very enthusiastic. Whereas in Delhi, if I were to float an inquiry for a 10 kVA UPS, then people would just, the company wouldn't even get involved, the sales manager of the company. So make sure you involve the principal company. Also, you need to do some additional investment in spares inventory. Make sure you have the extra fuses, you have a couple of extra keyboards, monitors, mouse, some extra wiring. You should have all that handy, because anything which can, some extra these switches and all, anything which can disrupt your work, most likely that item will take more than 24 hours to source from the nearest larger town. So you should have it so that your tech support people can fix that if they have the spare stuff with them. Then the other challenge is people. Typically these people have a longer learning curve because they've not been in a professional environment before. So when I say more investment in training, it's more investment in terms of time, because you're not paying them for training, for attending the training. That's a very good thing. If you have a 2-month training program, they will come and attend the 2-month training program. In fact, the funny thing is they'll be willing to pay you some money. Okay, sir, we want to learn computers, and why don't you, we can pay this much if you, my sister also wants to learn, can she join? And then you say, no, our requirement is minimum so and so words per minute. So sir, we are willing to pay to get her trained. So, but then there's definitely a longer learning curve. Then the other challenge is getting mid-level managerial hires in semi-urban. Rural, I would say, rural is very difficult, but even semi-urban areas. When you scale and start growing, you will need, so the first unit is a supervisor, then over a supervisor you have a team leader, then over a team leader you might have a, group manager or a process manager or whatever you want to designate, or an account manager. So someone of the group manager, process manager, account manager kind of level, someone who can actually do the interaction with the client for that particular process. That person is going to be, it's going to be difficult for you to get somebody to relocate to a smaller town. Even if that person has come from that town, he will want to still, once, because he's kind of made it in the city, he will want to stick in the city because he knows that the career opportunities are bigger there. So that is a challenge. The other thing is, all these smaller places are quite politically sensitive. So, make sure that you develop good connections with the powers to be in that area. You have a certain degree of respect from the locals. So that people are unable to disrupt your activity. Then there's also an issue of unionization, though that is an issue which is there, which the entire country is grappling. I'm sure everybody knows about the Maruti crisis, and that happened in a large town like Gurgaon, Manesar. But in smaller places, what happens is that if there are, say, 10 people coming from the same village, and suddenly one of them says that no, I don't think this salary that we are getting is fair, or we are being made to work longer hours. And then while they are going back, they will discuss this in their house also. They will discuss. So next day they will come and say, "Boss, either give us more salary or reduce our working hour or something like that." So because they live close to each other, there is always this problem about them forming a group and disrupting. So that is a slight problem, and I think that can be addressed by making sure you are transparent enough and there is enough trust. And you're fair. As long as you're fair, I think people will not I mean, at least the employees, not the people outside, but the employees who are benefiting by working in your organization will not try to disrupt work. And of course, the biggest challenge is trying to get business. You have to work extra hard to convince clients about the reliability of service from smaller places. And also, a lot of times the real operations team, you may convince the top management and get a buy-in from the CXO and all, and get the contract signed and everything. But when it comes to actual delivery, where the client side's operations team has to come in, then they will have resistance because they can't see you. If they have to do a center visit, it will take them 4 hours drive or something like that, and they don't like doing that. So they are the mid-level operations people at the client end. They might not really like the idea, and will try to put you down in every time there is a some issue or the other. Then we have so this is a question of how to market your services. You should start with targeting specific industry verticals. Somebody asked about market research, so you should look at you should go to market research, look at who all are the players, what are their processes, who are the people that handle this data entry stuff. Try and understand the ecosystem and meet try and pitch to players in that space. Similarly, in telecom or banking or insurance industry, you have to be, in any BPO business, you have to be able to speak the client's language. So, the client should be comfortable that you know enough of their business to be able to handle their processes. And the only way we can speak the client's language is in trying to quote 20 or 30 or 10 players from the same industry. So when you meet them for initial meetings, they will speak the language and you will catch it up. Of course, it helps if you have a service industry background. So if you worked in one of these sectors, it will definitely help. And that is why I said that, at least 5 or 6 years, one of the recommendations I would do is don't venture into a BPO business unless you have at least 7-8 years of service sector experience in one of the sectors that you want to service. They are helpful in two things. One, they build your contacts in the industry. Second, you get an understanding of how service delivery works. So if you're suddenly in a, for example, if you're in a .com business or a portal and you want to get into BPO, I would recommend not doing it. And you want to set up a BPO, and because you won't know how it operates. So having some level of experience always helps. And it's not a unique or something like a high IPR business where there are a lot of barriers to entry. If you're not able, you get much lesser time to prove yourself. So if you don't have experience, you will most likely fail and not get a chance again. And the second activity is one is targeting specific industry verticals, and secondly is your outreach. You should try and go to as many business-to-business events in the BPO space. Go to conferences, seminars, attend them. Meet up with people. You should take memberships of trade-specific trade bodies. For example, there is a telecom association, there is a market research association, there is a banking association, there is an insurance association. So, depending on what industry you want to target, maybe you should get into take memberships as a vendor and then try and keep meeting these people. You should also have a lead generation exercise through targeted email campaigns. You can hire a set of people to do the data mining, or you can buy business-to-business databases depending on what your budget is. And then do lead generation campaigns, send people targeted emails, send them your value proposition, and then do a follow-up on phone, email, whatever. And then, once you are able to do some services, do some pilots, you should try and put up case studies, website and white papers on your website on how you do your pilots, what are the challenges. So this kind of gets a confidence in your client that, you've done some real work and you know what you're talking about, you know the business. So these are some of the things that you should do to market yourself. This is a slide on who we are, eGram Serve. We are a rural BPO company. Our underlying technology is the ICT. Currently our geographic focus is the Himalayan states. We are targeting the BPL youth of rural India that are currently residing in this state. We started with Uttarakhand. Our value proposition is that we are engaging the local youth to provide extremely competitive BPO services. The business model is that we are currently opening BPO clusters in the Tehri region, and then we're going to expand to the Pauri region of Uttarakhand, then go to other such regions within Uttarakhand, and then go to Himachal Pradesh. These BPO centers, every BPO center will have a local ownership content with local entrepreneurs. So eGram Serve will own partly, and partly it will be owned by the local entrepreneur. And then we have an SHG delivery model where, as I was telling you, people from the same village will be working on a particular process. And we are surviving on, we're targeting with, our business is mostly through subcontracts with larger BPOs. We are currently a 65-seat setup in the Tehri district, as I said. We have about 100 youths that we have trained from the nearby town and villages. 30 operators are currently engaged on two large, I wouldn't call them large, but two ongoing projects. And we are speaking with a couple of largish players for more projects. And the main challenge, as I said, our learning curve, finding mid-level talent, tech support, equipment lease, and sourcing business. I already touched upon these. And this is the tape profile. Prabhat, who is, he's a strategic investor and chief mentor in the business. He's a serial entrepreneur, has done .com ventures and tech ventures. Then I'm Biplab. I have experience of more than 15 years in this segment. I've also run a earlier business in the offshore BPO space. And then I have with me Bipin, who has again 15 plus years of experience in telecom. He's also run an entrepreneurial venture earlier and has done leading sales roles in telecom and VAS companies earlier. And then somebody asked about competition. I won't call them competition. There is, but this is a picture of the current, these are some of the larger players that I know of. I'm sure there are others also. So we have more in the south of India. Rural Shores is one of the largest companies. And we have eGram IT and Desi Crew and NextWell. And in North India, we have B2R, which is also operating out of Uttarakhand. There is a company called Source Pilani in Rajasthan and Harwa in Haryana with 50 seats each. A lot of these rural BPOs are also run as CSR and foundation run activities. So Jindal's run a foundation in Bellary in Karnataka, Tata Chemicals is in UP, then there's one in Orissa, and then there's a Piramal Foundation that runs a rural BPO in Bagad. That's how I actually got into this rural BPO space. I ran that center for about a year and a half and scaled it up to kind of have the confidence of jumping in this business. And this is the end of the presentation. I think we've overshot our time a little bit. It says what I want to say. The future of growth is rural India, and if you look at rural and semi-urban areas, you can help drive the future and also write the future. So this is about what we have right now, and we can be open to questions if we have time.
Thank you, sir. There are some questions asked by participants. Uttam Kumar wants to ask that as an entrant firm, how can you make your company visible and ensure projects flow in?
Yes, so again the factor comes in that as an entrant you will not have a whole set of salespeople with you. So typically I am myself and Prabhat, we do the business development activity a lot, and even Bipin is involved. So what we've done is we've taken up one or two segments, and then we are going to people in that segment, mining that. It's something called mining the segment. So For example, telecom, now we know almost everybody in the telecom space, has heard about us. You don't, as a startup, you don't have heavy advertising budgets to start advertising. So, the only way is send emails, talk to people, leverage your connections, see who you know in telecom, talk to them. Similarly, see who you know in banking or whatever, And that is the only way. Keep sending them emails, keep, following up. Of course, don't pester people. If once you get to the right person, then you send him a presentation, get an opportunity to present to him. And then, do the same for other similar companies in that segment. That's the way you can build a visibility as a startup.
Thank you, sir. Also, the poll results are out. If you want, I can share the poll results with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the very first question was, do you have work experience in BPO? 79% said no, and 21% said yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The next question was, you are from which BPO? So, 50% said domestic and 50% said offshore BPO.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than this, the next question was, do you have any, like how much professional experience you have in any sector? So 78% said that they have less than 5 years of professional experience, and 22% said that they have more than 5 years of professional experience in any sector.
Okay, good.
And the last
one word of caution. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the last question was, do you have experience more than 3 years in any BPO? So 90% of them said that no, they do not have more than 3 years of experience, and 10% said that yes, they do have more than 3 years of experience in a BPO.
Okay.
Yeah, so these were the four
So
questions.
as I said, as a word of caution, one should, get some experience out there before starting up. Unless you have a family business that is already in this space. Even if you have a family business that is in some other space, or you have people that are willing to fund you, or you have enough funds, I would say go out and get the experience first, work for a couple of years, get to know, and then you should start, because it's not like the tech business where you're building a certain certain IPR and then trying to market. So it has got a high probability of success, but the success will only come if you're able to deliver at low prices and high quality. Okay, so any other questions, Ayushi?
Yes, sir. I am unmuting one of the participants, which is Rohan Zalani. I am unmuting him. He would be directly asking his question from me. Rohan, you can now speak. Rohan, you can ask your question now.
I have been working with IT for the past 2.5 years. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I have been working with IT for the past 2.5 years as senior software engineer. I am planning to have my own BPO in Central India. So can you just on a broader scale, although you have already mentioned the challenges I will need to face, but on a broader level, can you please help me out with the challenges and the market competition in Central India for BPO?
See, whether you're in Central India or Southern India or Northern India, it doesn't matter. What matters is you have to see what is the segment, that you want to target in terms of the client segment. And once you figure that out, then see if you have enough, traction in terms of resources in the place that you want to open. Typically, say if you were to open, I'm just giving an example. If you wanted to open a English-based help desk out of a remote location in the Northeast, I would say go ahead and open it, because the English language, native population speaks very good English language. So, but if you were to try and do it from rural Rajasthan, then I would say no, don't even do that. So it is not a geographical challenge. It is more of where you want to, what is your segment, what is the service that you want to offer, or what is the vertical that you want to get in, and then map and see what are the challenges. I mean, map and see whether you will get those kind of resources in the place that you are wanting to open.
Thank you, sir. I am now unmuting Yogesh Arora. Yogesh, can you hear me? I think Yogesh is having some problems. His voice is not audible to us. I am now unmuting Gurjot Bhalla. I think Gurjot has left the webinar. Anyways, sir, is my voice audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think the participants are having some problem. Anyways, I am unmuting Gaurav Singh. Gaurav, you can ask your question now.
Sir, this is nice about it, but can I please know, is there any political issues also coming in between? Because in rural, that we have always heard like a lot of political problems also come in between. Is it something like that also come?
No, you have to be sensitive to it. As long as you take people in confidence and you make sure that you made the connects earlier. So you need to make some kind of connects with the powers that be in that area before you even set up infrastructure. Okay. For example, we kind of had good relationships with the local MLA. We made some relationship with him, and some of the people that we, the landlord that we chose is a very strong figure there. So any problems we have with some permissions or something, he kind of takes care of these things. So these things you have to take care of. And this will only, so you should take your time before you select a place, unless it's your ancestral place and you have some space there. But if you're going to start up in a completely new environment where you've never been and you don't know the people, you should take your time, build relationships. We took about 6 months before, 3 months we just kept coming in and going out of this area that we started with and built our relationships. Only then we invested in starting a center there. So you have to take your time to do this.
Okay, fine. Right. Thank you, sir.
So I think Ayushi, I have just time for this question, and then we'll need.
I was about to say the same thing. One last question from Yogesh. I think there was some problem with his. I think network or something like that. I'm not able to hear him. But one last question from Gurjot. That he wants to know that there are many players in the market, so how can we gain competitive advantage over those players?
Competitive advantage is going to come from what I said earlier, your ability to deliver things on time, in quality, and in the within price. Time, quality, price. If you get these three things right, you will start building a competitive advantage. Without that, there is no competitive advantage. So you have to focus on these three issues, and then you will build an advantage over other players.
Thanks a lot, sir. This was the last question.
Sure. Any more questions?
Sir, the questions, the participants will keep on answering the questions, but since we are running short of time, so we cannot take up all the questions. But I really want to thank you on behalf of Toronto Talent Academy for giving your precious time and taking this webinar for us. So I hope that all the participants have also benefited from this webinar and they have gained a lot of knowledge and information from this webinar. So sir, if you can share your details, maybe your email address or maybe your contact number, so that in case they have any queries regarding the same, they can address you in that concern. So if you can share your email.
Yes. It is already there in the slide. If people can see it in the last slide, my email address is there.
Okay.
And what I would do is, what I would request is, you should just, in your subject line, just make sure you write nurture talent, so that I know that this is with reference to that
Yeah.
webinar.
So for all
And
the
then I will try
participants,
and respond.
I am reading out the email ID, which is biplab.saha, BIPLAB dot SAHA at egramserve.in. The email ID is visible on your screen, so you can note down the email ID. And please mention, if you have any query, please mention Nurture Talent Academy in the subject line, so that Mr. Biplab would be, it would be easier for him to recognize you. So again, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking out your precious time and taking our webinar. And we will surely let all of you know about our next webinar.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope it was worthwhile attending.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Bye.